When you're shooting, it's really good to keep the edit in mind, always in the back of your mind. And so the first thing I'd do is, go out and shoot something and then try and edit it. And you'll learn very quickly to be careful when you press that on button, but also the kind of shots that you need in order to tell the story. In this episode, we're going to talk about editing and technology and how we can use them to get the best out of our stories. When I started out, I spent 6 months in the editing room, and that was before I was allowed to touch a camera. Admittedly, that was in the days of film, and every single foot counted. You had to be so careful. Now we've got hours of footage, maybe too many, I'd wager, so try and be a bit tight with yourself. Don't overshoot. If you're shooting with an editor in mind, I think they'll always thank you for that big wide shot, that establisher. They'll thank you for those close-ups which enable you to move around to other things. They'll thank you for 2 shots. If there's movement, and you somehow can get that in different frame sizes, that's fantastic for them as well. So the other thing that I tend to do when I'm out there is I'll look at something which might give me a slightly more unusual frame. So in this case, I've got a giraffe. They've got really long legs, so you can pull focus between the giraffe to the wild dog and back again. So that not only gives you a sense of scale, like how vast is a giraffe, but also, you can build up a beautiful predator and prey relationship. Not that a wild dog would ever go after a giraffe. So the story is being told through vision, not through words. If you can tell your story without any words, then you're really winning. There are so many different things that you can use whilst filming, whether it's a drone or a gimbal or time-lapse, to give a different feel to your story. But also in post-production and technology, you can bring in all kinds of software. So if you have been out there filming and the wind's been blowing a hoolie, you can lay some very easy software on it to take the bumps out so it looks more professional, that it looks better. Maybe it was a really dull day and you want to bump up the colour. It's not rocket science, but it's all there. So it's amazing what can be done in post, as we say. In the last few years, drones have become incredibly common, and it's kind of wonderful. There's a democratization of filmmaking through drones. But there is also a tendency, like any new technology, for it to be overused. So one drone shot is wonderful if you're establishing, or if you're trying to tell a story of something moving on a road or whatever. That's a great use of a drone shot. Just be careful you're using it for a reason, and that's all technology. Why are you using it, and what's it going to do in your edit? Is it going to actually help you, or are you just using it for the sake of it? When you're editing it, sometimes something that people often do is they'll put cuts in for the sake of it. You might have an amazing shot. Let it run. Don't feel you have to chop into it and put in different shots just because you have to. It's amazing how everybody feels they need to put music and sound and spoken word over an edit. Sometimes the best edits, the best films are completely without music or completely without wild sound, or maybe they've got all 3. So keep it simple. If you've got an amazing shot and you've just got music going, don't feel you have to speak over it. Let the images tell the story, because that can be really, really amazing to watch. When it comes to recording sound and wildlife, we come from a very different perspective, which is we very rarely record at 25 frames a second, which is normal speed and the speed you record sound at. This means that all of our sound on wildlife documentaries is done in post. We're really lucky we have dedicated sound recorders, and they go out and away from all the cars and they get those amazing sounds. If you are shooting at high speeds or at time-lapse, it will be really useful to grab some sound on your camera just while the camera is running at ordinary speed, so you can lay it over. Otherwise, you won't have anything to put over that high speed, or you won't have anything to put over that time-lapse. When you're first starting out as a filmmaker, I think that one of the things you can do is to listen to your creative voice. It's sort of bring that creativity into your editing. Your approach to the content, to the story, is unique, and that's what makes you different, and that's brilliant. The 5 things I'd like you to take away from this episode are: 1. Use a variety of techniques and shot sizes for editing. 2. Give the viewer a sense of the landscape with drones or wide angle. 3. Use shots like cutaways or cryptic images to kind of get you in and out of sequences. 4. Don't get carried away by technology. Story is key. And finally, don't overshoot, or if you do, cut it yourself, and then your stories are going to be true to you.